Hi friends, welcome back to my channel. So in today's video I am going to declutter and show you guys all of my eyeshadow palettes. So I have already decluttered most of my collection, not all of my collection, but most of my collection anyway. I want to start 2022 very fresh. I want to have less products and more products that I like to focus on. So if you like that, give it a thumbs up. If you don't like that, give it a thumbs down, and don't forget to subscribe. First and foremost, we have my little stand right here, as you can see on the screen, but I am first gonna show you the products that I have in my current Shop My Stash. So the first palette to show you guys is a palette that I ranked in second place during my 2021 favorite eyeshadow palette. So this was my second favorite of the year, and it's also in my little product pan. I'm just trying to focus on one shade. This is obviously not going anywhere. I adore this palette so much. I think that this is absolute perfection, and one of my favorite shades is actually this one. It's so pretty. I also have this one here from Pat McGrath. This is the Venus in Fleur palette. This shade has such a beautiful shift, but believe it or not, the three other shades are my favorite. I think that they are so sophisticated for an everyday use. You can use whatever bronzer you have in your collection or in your Shop My Stash if you do that, and then just pop this palette on the lids. It's so beautiful. This one you have been so mad about because a lot of you guys have tried to get your dirty little hands on it, but haven't been able to do so. I'm gonna show you the back side in case you want to pause it and see if you can search for it. Maybe you can find it somewhere. This is anyway from Bobbi Brown, and this is absolutely stunning. I'm actually wearing this today. I'm wearing these two shades, which are my favorite shadows to use. It's so stunning, and this sparkle, let me just show you, that is unreal. It's so beautiful, but it can also be toned down for a little bit more of like a sophisticated look. We have an oldie right here. This is the Norvina palette. This is the OG Norvina palette, and as you can see, mine is super dirty. If you don't like that, then click out of this video right now. So here we have it. It's actually in my current project pan, and this is also a palette that I have used today. I'm just trying to get a little bit more use out of it and just, you know, use it a little bit more and incorporate my older palettes a little bit more. So that's what I'm doing. We have the beautiful Whatever palette from ColourPop. Now, a lot of my ColourPop palettes might not look exactly like they did when you purchase them because they are magnetic shadows, so you can actually pop some of the shadows out. I can't remember if I have done that with this one, but I know that I have removed all of the pressed glitters from my collection and just popped in other shadows from other palettes. So I'm not gonna be able to say which shades come from which palette. I don't really know that, but this one is definitely staying for sure. We have a beautiful Natasha palette right here. This is a retro palette. This is one that she came out with in 2021, and this is what she looks like. This is absolutely stunning. I adore this palette a lot. I feel like you can get super pretty everyday looks, some cooler tone looks, but then also super vibrant and purple and glam looks. I've used this a lot of the times when I'm going on date nights, and it's like a perfect date night palette for me. We also have the Huda Beauty Rose Quartz palette. Let's see if we can open her up. Whoops. Here she is. She's very, very cool toned. Not my favorite, but she is definitely pretty. You guys went bonkers over a look that I did with this one, so definitely go ahead and check it out if I have uploaded it. I think I have. But such a pretty palette, really, really stunning, and Huda, she knows her formula. And then the last palette I have before we jump into here is the Natasha Denona Biba palette. This I actually didn't purchase myself. I was gifted this one by one of you guys, and I'm so happy because this black, oh my god, it's the best black I've ever used. I think it's her cream to powder formula, and it's stunning. And this palette is just Such a great everyday palette if you wanted something for work and you don't know if you want something a little bit more cool toned. Here you have some warmer tones, and then these are a little bit more like burnt terracotta-ish. They're really pretty, and thank you so much to Emily for sending this to me. Okay, let's jump into my smaller palettes right here, shall we? The first one that we have right here is the Natasha Denona Love palette. This is a beautiful glam little purple palette that has a beautiful shift with this shade. Such a cute and fun little palette. I will be honest to say that I don't use all of these smaller palettes too much, but they are, I mean, I don't know, they're so perfect. They are so perfect. I mean, this one is my favorite out of all of them. It's just perfection, and this shade is so cool. It has like a green shift to it, but it's not too much where if you don't like green, it's gonna be too much for you. It's just such a fun and interesting shift. This is the first retro that she came out with, which is why a lot of people were surprised when she came out with her retro, the big one. I don't care, I love that one. This one is not a favorite of mine. I will be honest and say that I haven't used it too much, so I'm a little bit unsure why I got it, but I don't feel like I can get rid of it though. Here I have the Mini Glam, and this is the only one I haven't used. I haven't touched it, I haven't done anything. And this one I think I'm actually ready to declutter, because if I haven't used it, obviously I don't intend to do so. So that's why this one is gonna be the first one to go. I think I'm gonna let this one go as well. This is such a fun, pretty palette, but all of these shades are in the Big Star palette. I bought this one before I bought the Star palette. You'll see that later on, but I just feel like if I have the OG Star palette, I don't need this one as well, because it's just repeat shadows. Then we have this little one. This is Charlotte Tilbury Exaggerate. I can never say that, but this is a little quad from her, and I like it, but I'm not like blown away by it, and I don't understand why a lot of people have purchased like all of her little quads, because to me they're just not worth the price. But since I have it, I want to keep it because it is a very fun and elegant palette. This is super pretty. This is from CC. I am actually gonna get rid of this because I didn't really love it. I thought that this shade is a little bit, it has too much glitter in it. This one is super pretty, but I have these shades, and these ones, they're fine, but I mainly wanted it for the print. I could keep it for the print, but it's not gonna make me happy just to have something that I don't use. We have my favorite ColourPop palette. This is Going Coconuts, and as you can see, I used her. This one I have switched out some shadows in, and this is what mine looks like. I know I switched out this shade, and that was because this shade I didn't like because it had so much glitter in it, and this shade was a little bit too dark and cool tone for me, so I just swapped them out. But it is a perfect palette if you were ever wanting some neutral shadows in your life. We have the Good Sport palette that is a limited edition. You can never get it, or you cannot get it again. Here I swapped out some green shadows down here. They were kind of these cooler tone mossy greens that I just didn't like. I prefer shadows like this. This one is absolutely stunning, and I know how much fun I've had with this one, so I'm never letting this one go. At least not right now. We have the Feral palette from Menagerie Cosmetics. This is a really fun palette. It's not my favorite formula. They have some, I mean, I like their formula, but it's not my favorite. It has too much kick up in my personal opinion, but it is a wonderful palette nonetheless. We have the Tribe palette from Juvia's Place, which I don't think you can get now either. Sometimes they have brought it back, so if they do, maybe you should jump on it. But this is a fun palette. It's not a palette that I reach for that much anymore, but I do like it, so I am gonna keep it. We have the Club Nebula from Kaleidos, and here is what she looks like. This I am also going to keep. We have this one from Røde. This is the Røde palette, and I don't know if you are unaware, but I've been a little bit iffy on the brand, and I was on their PR list and they removed me, which is a shame. So I feel a little bit iffy about the brand as a whole, because I feel like they aren't really that professional. However, this is a palette that I actually enjoyed from them, and I like the quality of it. So I think for now I'm going to keep it, but I do feel a little bit awkward about the brand as a whole. I have my two Natasha palettes. So this is the cranberry palette, and it doesn't really look like this when you purchase it, but I actually saw that I've had this for a couple of years now, and I really want to try out the cream to powder shades in this one, because I remember hating them, but I do want to give it another shot to see if I might like them today. And then I just have this one. This contains shadows from the gold palette and from, I don't know, from some other palettes from her. I am not looking forward to, like, I'm not gonna get rid of these, because I want to be able to put them back if I want to. I want to be able to just switch them out and everything. So I am going to keep this, even though it's not like shadows I use on a regular basis. We have the Kaleidos, what is this called? VR Neon palette. I had a little brain fart. This one I am not getting rid of. I love this pink shadow that is in this one. The shadows are beautiful. They're just beautiful, so I'm gonna keep it. We have the Sci-Fi Green, also from Kaleidos. This is what it looks like, and I'm gonna keep this one as well. We have the What's Up Beauty Desert Monsoon palette, and here's what she looks like. I want to play with this a little bit more. I think that this is such a fun palette from an indie brand that seems to have amazing formula. I love their eyeshadow brushes. They were my favorite out of 2021. We also have the Sashimi City palette, also from Kaleidos. This is beautiful, but it is a little bit more sheer formula. The shimmers are a little bit more flaky and a little bit harder to work with, but I want to keep it. We have the Whale Song palette from Menagerie as well, and this is not going anywhere. I love this one, even though I don't love like green and blue eyeshadow to wear like super bright. I feel like I can tone them down, and I feel like the shadows are so unique that I will never let this palette go. We have the Morphe Jaclyn Hill palette. This is the Bling Boss palette, and I'm gonna keep this. I recently had it in my Shop My Stash, and I love the shade Ballsy, Rockstar, Bling Bling, Hush Hush. So yeah, I'm gonna keep this. We have the Sydney Grace Tiny Marvels palette. This is a collaboration that they did with the beautiful Mel Thompson, which has sadly passed away during 2021. That is such a shame, and it just makes the palette even more special. So I am gonna keep it to just honor her memory. But it's even if she hadn't passed, it's a beautiful and perfect palette, so I would keep it anyway. We have the Jackie Aina palette that she did in collaboration with ABH, and this one I'm not too sure about. It's just like the shades and the tones that aren't really my jam anymore. But since you cannot get this anymore, I feel iffy just throwing it out, because sometimes I love it and sometimes I don't. So I feel like I do want to keep it, because I love the shade Pinker, Supreme, and I remember doing this beautiful look using Wiggly, so I'm not ready to let this one go yet. We have the Kaleidos Flower Punk palette. This one I haven't used that much either, but I do want to use it a little bit more, because I feel like this one is so much fun, and I feel like I can do so many fun and cool looks with it, so I do want to keep it. We have the Urban Decay Naked Honey palette, and it looks like this. So I think I'm gonna get rid of this one, and that is only because of the fact that I feel like these yellowy tones aren't really my kind of jam anymore. I prefer caramelly tones, like for instance this one. I also like these kinds of shades, but the shimmers in here aren't something that I feel like I want to use anymore, and I just feel like the tones aren't really it's not really my cup of tea. So I'm actually getting rid of this one, which sucks. We have the Sample Beauty Equalizer 2 palette, and here's what she looks like, if you can see her. I think that this is beautiful, and I don't want to get rid of this. Oh, look at that. Oh wow, that's stunning. That's really beautiful actually. So this one I will keep. We have the Sigge Code Rosa palette. This one is beautiful and it's not going anywhere. I enjoy this one. The formula might not be my favorite, but I love the tones in here, so I definitely want to keep it. And the same thing goes for the Amrisi palette. This is my newer one. I do have another one as well that has been a little bit more used and abused that you will see later on, but of course I'm keeping this one. And then the last two palettes are this one. This is the Gemini palette from Melt Cosmetics, and this one I want to keep. I want to use these shadows a little bit more. And the last palette is the Melt 27 palette that looks like this. I am finally ready to let this one go. It's just not really my kind of color story. Even though I love the shade Nip Slip, I think that that one is really unique, and I don't think I have a shade like that. I don't feel like it's worth keeping it around because I never reach for it. So 5 palettes out of this little here I have decluttered, so let's move down to the drawers. Yeah, this drawer is a little bit full, I know, I'm aware, but we're just gonna dive right into it. So here we have the ABH Norvina Volume 3 palette. I'm wondering about this one, like, no, I'm not gonna keep this one. I'm getting rid of it. Oh my god. Here we have the Norvina Volume 4. And this one I will keep. Like, this is definitely my color story. The other one, it's not anymore. But this one is sophisticated, it's beautiful, it's pink. This shade, perfection. This little corner right here, absolute beautiful. E4, love you. So this one, obviously, I have to keep. We have the Nudes of New York from Maybe It's Maybelline. This one I am a little bit unsure about. Like, I do enjoy it, but would I reach for it over some of my other high-end palettes? And I don't think I would, actually. It's such a shame to say that, but it is actually the truth.
And the truth shall set you free.
No, but I don't think I would reach for this one over some of my other palettes, so that's why I'm going to get rid of it. We have the ColourPop Stone Cold Fox palette. This doesn't look like this. Like, when you purchase it, it doesn't look like this. I have rearranged mine. I have put in some other shadows from the, like, Lilac You A Lot palette. Not the Lilac You A Lot, maybe one shade or two, but from the It's My Pleasure palette. So there's that and some other stuff in here. But what a beautiful cool toned purple palette. Will for sure keep. We have my singles. Wow, everything got in here, but okay. So singles, keeping as same or as well as this one. I am gonna keep this one as well. It has like Glam Shop. This is my Modern Renaissance palette. This is the shade that I actually finished this year. So cool. That shade was actually really pretty. Ooh, stunning. Anyway, we'll keep. We have the Age of Opulence from Beauty Bay, which is still in their carton, which is never good. I have swatched out some of these shadows and I want to use it, but I haven't really gotten around to it yet, but I really want to use it. Like the shade Crush looks absolutely stunning. Dandy, this shade, so I do want to use it. I'm gonna get to it. We have this one from Made by Mitchell. Mitchell. And this is the Feet Off the Ground palette. This one, I mean, it's so cool, you guys. It's really, really cool, but it's not me anymore. It really isn't, and I don't want to keep it just because of someone I used to be. So I am actually gonna get rid of this one. Here we have my Saharan 2 palette from Juvia's Place, which is really, really pretty and well used. She is going to stay. We have the Natasha Denona Circo Loco palette. I want to do like a video where I rearrange my this palette and a bunch of my Natasha Denona palettes, because I think that that could be really fun. So yeah, I have used this shade. I think I used it in a live and it was so much fun. I really enjoyed this shade. Overall, it's a very not me palette kind of palette, but I do want to use it and I want to continue to keep it in my collection. My Patrick Ta palette isn't going anywhere. As you guys know, I adore and love this palette so much. It's one of my favorites in my collection. It's so pretty, so I'm gonna keep her. And don't you worry about my Pat palettes, because I have kept the little box that they come in. I just don't store them with it. So this is the, let's see, this is the Bronze Seduction palette. What a beautiful palette. Such a fun color story, and I really enjoyed this one, so I do want to keep that. And I'm also gonna keep the Utopian Dream palette that looks like this, even though I was a little bit disappointed with this shade, because it is what to say, it looks pink, but it swatches and looks bright golden on my eyes. I do still enjoy it. I think it's fun, and this shade during the summer, yes please. Now I don't know where to start or where to begin. Let's take the gold palette from Natasha Denona, because that isn't going anywhere. Obviously this is not what the gold palette looks like, but this is what mine gold palette looks like. I have swapped out some shadows and rearranged it a little bit, and I enjoyed this one so much, so it's never going to be decluttered. Here is the Amrisi palette that I talked about earlier. So this is how used and abused mine has been. It's really been such a fun journey. Even though I have started to fall out in love with it a little bit, I do still really like it. So obviously I'm gonna keep it. We have the Love palette from Charlotte Tilbury. No, the wow, what is it called? Pillow Talk. And I haven't been as impressed with matte shadows as I was with these in such a long time. It's honestly unreal, so this isn't going anywhere. We have another little Pat palette. I don't think these has any special shadows in it, but it doesn't matter, because I think that it's so much fun and it's really beautiful. I really love this blue shadow because I feel like you can tone it down. It's still very wearable, if you know what I mean. So here we have my palette that ranked the highest in 2021, and that is the Star palette from Natasha Denona. I can't tell you how fun I've had with this one. It's honestly such a treat, and it's so much fun. Like every time I dip into it, I feel inspired, I feel happy, and I just know it's gonna be a great day, so this isn't going anywhere. Then we have this one that is from Alter Ego. I am unfortunately going to declutter this one. I have realized that I am not into cooler tones. It was really fun getting this one. I actually got sent this by one of you guys, and it was so much fun because I was actually planning on purchasing the Glam palette from Natasha Denona, and this is obviously a dupe of that. So I'm really happy that I got this, because that made me realize that I don't need it. There's no point of me getting it, since I don't like cooler tones on myself. We have this one that I haven't used. This is the Flare palette from Ace Beauté. They sent this to me because they have reformulated their palette, and this one is the one I want to use the most. So I will actually include it in one of my Shop My Stashes very soon, because I do find it to be very fun, and I feel like I can do some fun looks with it anyway. Let's dive into my Natasha palettes. Here we have the Sunrise palette, and I have rearranged this one so it doesn't look like this when you end up purchasing it. But it is fun, and I do want to hop into it very soon. We have the Love palette, and this doesn't look like this either, but once again I have rearranged it just to fit my need a little bit better. We also have the Bronze. I love her midi size palettes. I think that they're so much fun. This is also so much fun. And we also have the Sendo palette. That looks like this. And I'm gonna keep all of them. Then we also have the Metropolis palette, and obviously I'm gonna keep this one as well. I think that this is so much fun, but I wish that I had less palettes so I could use it a little bit more. I have this one. This is the Alter Ego dupe of the bronze palette. I haven't used this one, and I'm not sure that I will since I do have the bronze palette, so I am going to let this one go. We have the Gingerbread Spice palette. I don't know what it is, but I never reach for this one, and I don't think I ever had. There's always other palettes that I reach for before this, so I think it's time to actually let this one go, even though it kind of breaks my heart and I don't want to. I know that I never jump into this one, so that gotta say something. We have the Subculture palette and a dog hair. I am not ready to let this one go. I still enjoy this one. The one shade I don't like is Cube, but other than that, I think it's a fun palette and definitely something I want to continue to keep in my collection. We have the Soft Glam palette. Damn, this was hard. I'm actually gonna put this in my maybe pile. And then we have the Sultry palette. This is also hard. You know what? I am going to get rid of this one. We have the Star Wars palette, or the Mandalorian or Child or whatever it's called, from Colourpop, and I'm gonna get rid of this one. It's just not really my tones. They're a little bit too minty for my liking. We have the Wild Child, also from Colourpop, that is a little bit too warm for my liking, so I'm gonna get rid of that one as well. We have the Linda Hallberg Enchanted palette, and this one I will actually keep. I think it's a lot of fun. Ooh, this one I forgot that I had. This is the Huda Beauty Jaguar palette. The question is it... I don't think that these are my tones actually, so I am going to get rid of that one. We have the Colourpop Sweet Talk palette. As you can see, I have removed the glitters and put in some other shadows just to make it fit me a little bit more. And I think it's really sweet, so I'm gonna keep that one. We have the NARS Afterglow palette, and here's what she looks like. She's a doll, isn't she? I just think it's so fun. So obviously I do want to keep this one. We have the Shiglam Bubblegum palette that I just think is so much fun. I love the shimmers in here. I think it's so... yeah, I just think it's so much fun. I love the green shadow in here, so I'm gonna keep it. Just makes me happy. We have the Desi and Katie palette in here. Definitely a palette that I have fallen out in love with, but I do still want to keep it. We have the Norns palette from Oden's Eye that I go back and forth on all the time. And if I look at it and think like from a day-to-day perspective, would I use it? No. But I mean, these three colors down here, they're so unique, so I do want to see what I can do with it. Maybe I don't know, but I feel like I need to keep it a little bit longer. I am torn about this one as well because it kind of started to break apart on me, so I am gonna get rid of this one. I do enjoy it a lot, but since it doesn't work anymore, like Cowboy Rick has started to give me fallout and it just doesn't really work anymore, so therefore I have too little time, so it's just time to let it go. We have my palette that I did in collaboration with Blush Tribe. Even though it's not my colors, I am gonna keep it because duh. We have the Kaleidos Astro Pink palette, which is my favorite from them. Definitely a keep for me. I don't know why I'm talking like that, but okay. We have the new Romantic palette from Beauty Bay. Such a beautiful little palette that you cannot get anymore, and I want to keep it. We have the Nikki Tutorials palette with Beauty Bay that I definitely need to pull out and use. I really enjoy this one, so I'm for sure keeping it. We have the Limoncello palette from Colourpop, and I am going to get rid of this one. I just don't reach for it for whatever reason. I reach for my other palettes over this one, so I'm gonna get rid of that one. Oops, I'm so sorry. We have the Nabla Side by Side palette. Even though I don't love cool tones, I don't feel like I'm ready to let this one go, so I am gonna keep it. We have this one from Beauty Bay that is called the Book of Magic, and I am never ever getting rid of this. If I would depot this shade. We have the Wilderness palette, and I haven't really used this one a lot, but I feel like I'm not ready to let it go, so I am gonna keep it. We have the Beauty Bay and Mama Mitchell palette that is like divided in two, as you can see, and again, I'm not ready to let it go, so I'm gonna keep it. And the last one is the Moon Dust palette, and even though, I mean, I could see myself letting this one go now, I just don't want to, so I'm gonna keep it. I'm going to clean out my drawer, and then we're gonna see how much we actually decluttered. So I forgot that we had one in our maybe pile, and here we have ABH Soft Glam. I want to keep this one, so I'm going to keep it. So I'm just gonna put it here. So let's see how many palettes we actually ended up decluttering. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, no, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18. So maybe that wasn't like too many palettes, but I don't give a flying F. I am pretty happy with that. So definitely give me a thumbs up if you enjoyed this video. If you didn't, give me a thumbs down. Don't forget to subscribe, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye!